So as many of you may or may not know, PNM has been a partner of Think Trees for many years. We think it's very important that PNM is our partner because they provide a lot of really good support for Think Trees. I recently have left PNM after many, many years of serving as the forester there, but I think it's still very, very important for everybody who works with trees, or works around trees, plans landscapes, you know, around power lines. I think it's very, very important to understand the dangers of power lines. You know, most of the time they're pretty stagnant, you know, they don't move, you don't see, you know, the electricity flowing through them. And so people can kind of get complacent, and we want to make sure that if you are in the field working around trees, that you never attempt to trim trees away from power lines. If you have a situation where there's trees entangled or close to power lines, please give PNM a call. They'll come out, they'll assess the situation and let you know what needs to happen. Another thing that was just mentioned to me, when you're doing crane sets with trees, you need to be aware of the power lines and the dangers of power lines when you're contracting with cranes to do, you know, that kind of large tree work. But yeah, so what you're going to see today is a demonstration of just what electricity can do. They're going to show various different things. And I think you'll find it very exciting, which will lead right into Dr. John Ball's talk right directly after this. So everybody, give your attention, please, to my friends over here with PNM.
Usually cable TV. And then above that, we're going to have our 3 low voltage wires. And then above that, either single phase or 3-phase primary, which is 7,200 volts. So for all of you that are cutting trees, planting trees, maintaining trees, you got to be aware, because trees are a solid ground. So we're very fortunate here in the Southwest that it's dry. Sometimes the primary gets in there and it'll buzz the tree or it'll trim the tree, but you got to realize that it's actually a solid ground. So if you're cutting and you get in between it, then you're going to make yourself in a bad spot. And we hope that you don't do that. And on the weekends with your children, wherever, flying kites, throwing strings, playing ball, always be aware of what's above you. There's one wire that comes down from the house to the service. That's a pretty durable wire. That looks like this one right here. And this is a low voltage service wire. It's meant to hold a lot of strain. So this comes from the pole to the house. You can be safe trimming small branches around here because it's all insulated. Our other ones above ain't. But this is also dangerous because if you think it's safe and you cut a big branch and hits this, it's either going to break the top of the pole or it's going to tear the meter base off a wall. And then we got a whole different problem. So always be aware of these little things, and especially when it's raining. Like I say, it's dry here, but when it's raining, you got to be these guys have trimmed trees in hurricanes and ice storms, and all you guys have that have been tree trimmers know that the dangers of that falling line. So I'm going to have JP here. He's going to do it, and Lee. So if you guys got any questions, just raise your hand. Thank you.
So we're going to start off with just drawing a few arcs to start with, and then we're going to run through some safety stuff, Mylar balloons, stuff like that, but we'll go through it as we go.
that is 7,200 volts was backfeeding a transformer. So you could simulate what our high voltage line is, and that's what that voltage is.
So these are just some different strings that you can buy at Home Depot or anywhere. A lot of people don't know that a lot of these strings have metallic in them. So if you're flying a kite with this string, or you throw something tied onto this string and it gets into the power lines, it could electrocute you. So this is just like a safety deal for you guys and your kids. Just be careful with what string you use around the power lines with kites and anything else.
That
So you
shows
see
you.
how, go ahead. So you see how that string just looks like an ordinary string, but it does have metallic in it, and it will track down to you and could possibly kill somebody if it gets into the power lines.
As you all know, you've probably seen our linemen, we work with electricity with rubber gloves. So there's some people think that they can put on rubber gloves and go ahead and try to do it, especially a lot of copper thefts, and show you they won't work.
So this is just a dishwashing glove, and you can see that it's not gonna be safe to work on power lines. So it went right through that dishwashing glove like nothing. So this is one of our rubber gloves that we use to work on the power lines. Now we got a hot dog in there, and we put a pinhole in that rubber glove to show you that we're protected, but even a pinhole in your rubber glove could cause you to track over and potentially hurt yourself. Now we got a cooked hot dog. Is anybody hungry?
Believe it or not, there's some people that have put rubber gloves on and gone in transformers or gone and climbed a pole somehow and try to get copper. You know how people are taking it, and they'll put anything on, and sometimes we find stuff at the bottom of a pole you won't believe.
So these are Mylar balloons. Everybody loves to have them for your birthday parties, let them go. Well, what happens is they fly off and they end up in a transformer in the high voltage lines. They cause outages. So we just do this as awareness to be careful where you release the Mylar balloons. So that, if it gets into the high voltage line or a transformer, it could cause an outage and a lot of damage sometimes.
As you guys know, some of you tree trimmers now, and you guys working around any power lines, I don't know what your safety rules are now, but if it's primary and it's up in there, I'm sure that you guys call us, we'd energize it and ground it. So if that should be the safety rule anyway. So be aware of any of these tree branches. You're going to put a couple of tree branches on there now to show you, but always remember, tree is a dead ground. So you don't want to go between. Electricity goes from hot to a ground. So always remember that.
So we showed you guys some rope that had metallic in it. Well, this rope is actually non-conductive. It's made of a non-conductive material, but we wet it to show you that if it's raining or string gets wet, it'll conduct. And just like kite string, a lot of it's non-conductive, but if it gets wet, it will track to you. So that's non-conductive rope there with a little bit of water, it will track. And now we got a tree branch. So this tree branch, we just got off a tree out there, out back. So with the little moisture, you can see how it tracks over. Uh-oh. Another technical problem. I think we blew another breaker. Yeah.
I'm sorry we couldn't do the tree, but if you guys got any questions at all for any of these guys, feel free to ask.